make me feel the way. Feel the way. I don't wanna play it safe. You know you take the pain away.
Welcome back for another episode with the same fit on because I told you like this. I told you already to expect it, okay? I got time, so I'm gonna shoot some, you feel me, extra content. I had to wear my little fit, but we'll get back into some law enforcement stuff. So I like to try to kind of bounce back and forth because I don't like being always like informative or educational. I don't want an educational podcast. I want to kind of talk about what I want to talk about too, get things off my chest. Just stuff that I notice that bother me. It could be stuff in the world. It could be politics. It could be legal. Who knows? I mean, it could just be whatever it is. Sports. But yeah, so I wanted to talk about the jails and how jails work, because a lot of people don't know how it works. So going to jail. So in the state of California currently, if you get arrested for a felony or a certain violent misdemeanor, some may need approval from the watch commander to keep of the facility, or like anything domestic. So domestic violence, there's a couple of certain misdemeanors that are keeps, but for the most part is generally only felonies. Only felonies generally. So all felonies, I should say, all felonies, majority, I mean, all felonies, all domestic violence, and a very minuscule, very, very, very minuscule amount of misdemeanors. And most of the time they need approval for it to be, them to be taken into custody until they see a magistrate, aka a judge. But yeah, so how it works, at least in San Bernardino County, and well, pretty much everywhere, but from my experience from San Bernardino County, you get arrested. So the officer will take you to jail. From there, you'll get processed. So in processing, the person that gets arrested, they'll get searched out, make sure they don't have any contraband. Sometimes they still have contraband because they stuck it inside the poop chute, you know what I'm saying? And it's stuffed up there real nice and tight. And before, they used to do strip searches a certain way, and it was based on drug, violence, felonies, whatever, and people got strip searched right away. Now they had changed the rules, and now it's bring the dope all the way in, and then we'll decide whether or not we're going to strip search you. And so dope will be rampant no matter what, because it's a pro-crime today. So yeah, there's a lot of the rules are a lot less stringent as it used to be. So yeah, so they get searched out, basically pockets, patted down, make sure they don't have any weapons or anything that's not keistered. And then from there, they'll go down to a cell where they can use the phone. That's where you have the availability to make your 3 free phone calls. It's local calls. You can't be calling to Iran or Saudi Arabia or Russia. You're not going to be able to call. It's local calls only. You're entitled to 3 local calls. That doesn't mean calling your grandma who's on a vacation in South Africa trying to get bail money. You're not entitled to that. You're entitled to 3 local phone calls. So get the phone calls. Boom. Then from there, they'll come out, sign their paperwork that'll tell them their charges, and then get rules and regulations for the facility. And then they'll go back into the cell. Whatever. And then, yeah, then they'll get a copy of their charges. So then they'll get called out once their stuff's ready, take their photograph, fingerprints, and then boom, on to the next cell. So then after that, a list is generated. It's decide who's, staying. And then at times, once their stuff is done, there'll be a list that's sent down on who's getting released, whether it's bail, OR release, which is released on their own recognizance, in good faith of the courts and belief that you'll show up to court without having to post a bail. basically, if you ever get, hopefully none of my people get in any situations, but if you end up getting arrested and you get OR'd and you miss court, you're probably not going to get another OR for a very long, long time. So do not get rearrested. And if you get OR'd, make sure you go to court. But yeah, from there, they'll call the people. If you get released, you get released. Bye-bye. Don't mess up again. If you do not get released, you will go to the back, you get changed out, and then you'll most likely end up talking to, well, you will end up talking to somebody from classification, at least in San Bernardino County and Orange County. It's pretty much the same way. So I was a part of teaching them and getting their system up together. So basically, like from there, they'll get interviewed, and basically criminal history will be ran. Discipline history from in jail or prison will be looked, and everything will go together to calculate a general population score. So when people go in and they stay overnight, you're not going to have somebody, at least in Orange County and San Bernardino County, you're not going to have somebody's dad or some little young kid that's a poo butt nobody go into a cell or area with a bunch of gang members and people that did stupid amounts of prison terms, was shanking people up, moving dope on the cell phones, rioting, etc. It's broken up into classifications. So you got your poo butt nobodies that made a mistake, and now you're in jail, potentially facing prison time. And then you have your people that are constantly getting arrested, or get arrested a lot within the last couple of years. It's kind of starting to become a pattern, or they've been to prison a couple times, but they're pretty much a nobody that just doesn't know how to get right. So you see a lot of homeless people and stuff like that. Well, not necessarily homeless, but transients, some homeless and stuff like that you'll get, or a lot of drug users, thieves, just people that just can't stop stealing, stuff like that. You'll get some violence here and there. But for the most part, you get little Trevor that killed somebody or whatever, and you're not going to put him in there with King Von. So they're not going to be in the same area. So then you go from those two different levels. And so that's where you're going to get like your old men, your young kids, and your certified just F-ups. Then you get down into your gang level housing. So you have your basic gang members. So this is usually rowdy because it's a bunch of young cats majority of the time that are gang members or come in for a violent crime that's really about the ruckus and don't really know no better how to maintain themselves. And then you have a little bit more sophistication, been to prison three separate times, and either have a violent felony conviction within the last 10 years or are a gang member. So it's like a combo. So now you get more sophistication. You get into cells, people that really know how jail and prison politics work. And then from there it goes, a lot of prison terms, and it goes to a lot of violence. Then it goes to a lot of in jail or prison violence, but none on staff. And then you got your high level ranking gang members or, violence on staff. Then you got your high securities. So it's all broken out. And then on the other spectrum of that, you have your PCs. So you have your basic child molester, child porn watcher, distributor, etc. right here. Or you have your gang dropouts or a gang member that caught a child sex crime. And then you have like your administrative protective custody. So it was a higher ranking guy that then went PC. And then you have your high security PCs, or your PCs that have like some really high profile, like insane case. It could be a former police officer as well that went to jail. It could be for some simple felony, but has to stay in custody. That would be like a high security PC, because you don't want a police officer going in with a bunch of regular people and then him getting stomped out. They see, oh, that's the dude that arrested me, blah, 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 and this is that, and they attack them. So you got to protect people. So I know people, they always get mad. Oh, why can't the the child molesters should just be in general population and have to reap and sow for their blah 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 what they did. I know everybody wishes that was a thing, or you can wish that, but at the end of the day, the department or the sheriff's departments or whoever, or the state, whoever's running the jail and prison, have the obligation to protect people. So you can't just go in there and throw somebody with child sex charges into the gang tank and let them get killed. That's not how society works. And unfortunately, you can't just make your own rules. And there's rules and reasons behind everything. So it's funny, you'll see that all day. Let him go in there. I hope he gets raped. This and that. Like, they say the most craziest things online, but it can't work like that. And at the end of the day, somebody's always liable. That's why all these Larry H. Parker stuff that you see all the time, somebody may hit your car and then call and try to sue you. It's dumb. Like, the way that the world works is the way that the world works. And there's a reason most of the time on why things are done a certain way. But yeah, so there's an obligation to protect people. And that's one of the main reasons why, like, the sheriff's department in San Bernardino County, and I think why Orange County, have the classification system as it is, because at the end of the day, it makes sense. You throw a guy that has no knowledge of prison politics, gang membership, anything, and with a full-fledged, like, dude that's been to prison 6 times, that's, scrubbing and cleaning his cell, making sure the floor is spick and clean, the toilet is, clean, everything, hygiene straight, this, that, and the other. Like, you can't throw old young cat in there that's like 18, 19 years old, that's eating bananas and orange, peeling his orange, throwing on the floor, pissing all over the seat, not cleaning it up, etc. Like, he gonna get bodied. So you can't do that. And then same thing, like, I mean, another thing you can't do is you can't just put another race into, like, another cell with a different race. You put a black guy and a Hispanic in a cell, this is gonna be problems. Somebody's gonna get hurt. It might cause a riot. Multiple people might get hurt. Officers might get hurt. It's crazy. That's just how jail and prison politics are. It's racist. The people in there, blacks, it's a long history. You can look up, there's movies, there's documentaries, you can look it up if you want to know that information. But black people and Hispanics do not get along with each other. Sometimes, like, most of the time, they're friends and everything like that. But there's politics, and you can't be in a cell and really be doing open business by yourself or betting and doing all this other stuff with another race. You definitely can't put a black in with the white. You can't put a white in with the Hispanic, etc. Asians are sometimes, you can put an Asian with a black most of the time. Asians is cool with blacks and stuff like that, or polys. Polys usually mess with blacks, Polynesians. That's Samoans and Tongans for you guys that are unaware of the Polynesian world. But yeah, so there's a rhyme and reason for everything, and people done got cleaned up before for not knowing what they were doing, end up in a cell with somebody that's been in prison a lot or whatnot, and don't want to clean up after themselves, immature, and things like that. And you can tell, like, the people that have been to prison multiple times most of the time have a lot of are very respectful. They do their stuff. They, whatever. Then you have knuckleheads all the time. But yeah, at the end of the day, there's an obligation to keep people safe, and there's a reason for everything that is done. Well, I think it's a good time for a break. So, yeah, this episode, I'd like to tell you that it's sponsored by Lululemon. It's really not sponsored by Lululemon. It's really sponsored by Capital One or Visa, whoever I use to buy this. But yeah, Lulu, if you're watching this, I'll greatly, we could work something out. At least just let me keep my discount at another 5% on top of that. You know what I'm saying? Or can I get the old discount back where it was? The first responder discount and military used to be a lot better. I know you dropped it down because people were finessing, but can we please get it back to that level? Please, please. But yeah, man, I bought this like 6 months ago. Also, I feel like I deserve an extra discount because of that, because I bought this and y'all left this on there, but I don't have my receipt no more because it's been like 6 months. So can y'all look it up and y'all take this off or send me the directions? Because I'm looking like a mad thief out here. I went to put this on and I felt something in my pocket. I thought it was my AirPods, but I'm like, wait, I didn't even wore this yet. Y'all got me looking like a real thief. Like, that's crazy. What am I supposed to do with this? I'm about to walk in there and be like, I bought this. Can y'all take this off? And they just gonna be like, here you go. Like, come on. Y'all doing me dirty out here. Y'all about to have me hemmed up at Victoria Gardens looking crazy. Come on. Anyways, back to the episode. But before that, if you haven't just subscribed, there's a gray button right below here. Just press it. I promise it won't cost you anything and it won't hurt you any to subscribe. But appreciate you. All right, welcome back. So the next thing I'm gonna talk about, let me sit back because I be having back problems. I had to change up the room. I'm trying to work on my I don't know if it's the mics. I have it, the last room I was in is my open room. It kind of flows throughout the house, so it kind of sounds a little echoey. So I'm testing this out this time to see if it works. If not, I'm gonna play with this, see what's up. If not, I'll start. I don't know if I got to staple like the little cup holders, McDonald's cup holders and all that around the room like they did on Hustle and Flow. I don't know. I got to figure something out. So we'll see. I even put the little fuzzy thing on here. See if this works. If not, I'm going to have to like auto tune or maybe get a little deep voice or something. Figure it out. But yeah, there's also a separate area for LGBTQIA plus. I don't know if there's any more letters that they added in 2025, but there's a separate area for them that's in general population. Also, if one of them ends up going PC because they got caught snitching, etc., caught a child sex crime, then they'll go in a section over there with PC administrative housing, and yeah, they'll get looped in with another LGBTQ, whatever. It's too many letters. They can get celled together. But yeah, it be beef for them sometimes. It is what it is. It's a small queue sometimes. Sometimes a lot of them would just rather be in regular general population with straight inmates. They'll turn down, it's optional. They don't have to go over there, but they can go in regular GP, and some of them can hang. Some gang members and got squabbles. I ain't gonna lie. And they'd be like, nah, I'm gay, but I'm good. Put me in GP. Don't put me over there in alternative lifestyle. I want to be in regular GP. And they won't get assaulted or anything like that, but you got to make sure to offer it, because if you put them over there and they get pieced up, and it's like, nah, I didn't. You feel me? I told them I was gay and I didn't turn it, and I didn't turn down the housing. If you didn't offer it to them, then you're in some trouble. But they might try to turn around and play you, but you make sure they sign, get it recorded. Like, you feel me, do not want to go into alternative lifestyles, and I want to go regular GP. And man, it's some of them that got squabbles, and they be holding it down over there. Don't nobody just be picking on them. If you do some weird stuff, you start messing with people or whatever, then they get picked on. But it's regular people that are either gay, bisexual, whatever, that just go to regular GP housing too. But yeah, so how it works is from there, they're separated based on general population. So the lower GP levels are like, for us, it's 7. The higher the number, the lower the higher the number, the lower level of sophistication and kind of classification level. I don't know why, it's backwards, but 1 is bad. If you're a GP1, or you're bad, you can't act right. You know what I'm saying? You stabbing people up, doing riots, you putting hands on folks, you doing a lot of pack outs. So, but if you're a 7, you're a poo butt. You know what I'm saying? You're a nobody. You're just Dave that went, crashed his car and hurt somebody really bad, DUI type stuff, whatever. Or you got mad because your mom didn't make enough pizza bagels and you smoked her, but you're not a gang member. You're not gonna be able to hang with, you feel me, them cats running back to back fades. You got to be with the other Jacobs and Larrys that smoke moms for not making pizza rolls on Thursday like it was planned. So yeah, so you have that, but so then disciplinary can raise where you're moved. So you don't, once you get a classification, that's not forever. Unless you're like a high security, unless you go PC. Once you're PC, you can never go back GP in the same sitting. You can go back eventually, say you get sex crimes charges and you beat the case and you're able to talk to your peoples. It's been some years where people may not have seen you or whatever. You can sign the docs to go back GP. But usually we like to, sometimes if we don't have, proof or whatever, whatever, and it's real recent, unless we have proof, hey, you ironed it out with the cast, it was a false allegation, you straight, cool. You can go back GP. And state used to be able to just you could get up there and be like, nah, sign and go GP. I don't know if they still do it, but yeah, so the way it works is, it's assigned to you, your classification at the beginning, but it could always change. So if you go and you're with the poo butts and you start politicking, you start trying to, bet, tax, whatever, or you getting in fights, you're acting up, you're going to get your classification moved up. And then, or you were a gang member that was missed on the coming in, somebody was lacking doing their job. Or sometimes you just made a mistake and they flew under the radar. That can change. Or if your classification's already with like gang members and politics, or you politic or whatever, and you're getting in a lot of fights, whatever, or you set off a riot, whatever, your classification could change. You put hands on a staff member or a deputy, whatever, your classification is going to change. So it's not set in stone. But there has to be a reason why your classification changed. They're not just going to change the classification, whatnot. But yeah, so there's things that happen. People may be an informant on the low and you get caught up and now you need PC or whatever, or you told on your case and now your co-defendants are finally about to get their paperwork and you tried to, last GP as long as you can, but the discovery was just given to the other side and you're coming back from court and just found out that they got the paperwork that shows that you're snitching and now you need PC. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on. So that was like, jails that have a classification, and that's kind of what they deal with, being atop of people getting sub-booked, so getting additional charges that involve child sex crime or a sex crime, and they're like a high level classification and it might get them, you feel me, packed out. If it's not a child sex crime per the policy, you're not 100% guaranteed to go into protective custody, because if you think that you are good and we put you over there with the PCs and you're like, I'm not a PC, and you start swinging on PCs, we have a duty to protect the PCs. So that's up to you. You come sign paperwork, blah, 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 and whatever. So at the end of the day, it's deep. So, classification tries to stay on top of things, tries to make sure, whether it's listening, keeping the ear out to the streets and figuring out if somebody's no longer in good standings, then we have an obligation to protect them. Even if they say they want to stay in general population and they're good. If we have information that shows that they're no longer in good standing with their gang and they're going to be targeted for assault, once we receive that information, we have to pull them out. And sometimes they want to fight us and this is and that and the other, whatever. We might have to fight you, but you're still going to protective custody, or you're going into, while we complete our investigation. If we haven't completed it, we got to pull you out of there, because if they kill you and we have the information, it's going to be on us. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. State is a lot different from county, and everybody knows. And that's why, like, if you listen to rap music and they're talking about running fades back to back and stuff like that, If you're black, well, like Hispanics, so the politics for each race are different. So white dude, skinhead, whatever, Peckerwood lands in the dorm or the cell in the woods route. They're gonna come meet him at the thing, check his paperwork. Like I told you, you come in, you sign, they give you your copy of your paperwork. They're gonna check your paperwork, make sure you don't have no child sex charges or any questionable charges. If you don't have your paperwork, you might get pieced up just off the strength of not having your paperwork. But most of the time, they give you a pass to they'll either check on the phone. And the phone, there's a certain thing that'll read you your charges because you have to have access to your charges at all times. Or they'll check the kiosk. So if you throw your paperwork away, you might get pieced up just because you threw it away, and they're going to be like, it's fishy. So most of the time somebody loses their paperwork and they're a gang member or they're in politics or whatever. If they lose it down in intake, they ask for another thing of paperwork. And as a classification officer, we always make sure as a courtesy to print them their charges, because if they show up without that paperwork, they're going to get pieced up most of the time. But that's not our control. We don't make those rules. You get pieced up, you lose your paperwork, that's on you. I'm not obligated to, be your daddy in there and keep track of all your stuff. That's for you. My job is to get you in there. But if you do something to mess up your politics and the rules that you know and that only you're in control of, that's on you, bucko. So if you get pieced up because you lost your paperwork, you already knew. And that's not the rules that we created. That's the rules that you all created. So, yeah. So yeah, the white dudes, boom, grab him. Somebody usually take his paperwork and check it. The rest of them chat him up, ask him his name, take his stuff from him, go show him where his bed's going to be. We have a bed we assign him to, but they're going to take him to where they're going to have him where he's going to be sleeping. So set him up, put his little sheet on his mattress, get him set up, squared away, and then get to know who else is going to be running with the woods. Same with the Hispanics. They do the same exact thing. But if you're a black gang member, when you hit the shit, they're going to figure out, they're trying to figure out where you're from. And if you're opposition or if you are ally. And if there's oppositions in there, you're most likely going to have to run some fades unless there's been tension between the races and they need all hands on deck just in case it cracks off. Then they're going to pause some fades for later. But if not, cool, you're going to have these scheduled fades. It's not going to get cracking right then and there because people are going to get in trouble. People are going to get dispersed. Or if there's, if there's some contraband in the thing, they ain't going to be trying to bring attraction to that, because if the Hispanics is holding that tank, and they got some, usually all the races know. And if you set something off and we as deputies go in there and hit it and we get the dope, the Hispanics is going to be on the blacks. It's going to be real tension. It may cause a riot. Certain things like that can crack something off. So you might have to run some fades, usually by the shower or the whole sheets up behind the thing. They usually try to wait when the deputy's not present. It's only one trying to watch all 6 different segments with either between 32 and 48 people in each thing. And so you have to run your fade. Hopefully you got somebody in there to run your back fade if you got to run the fade, just in case you get dropped. And hopefully your homeboy got hands, or hopefully you got hands, because you're going to have to run it with the enemigos. You might have to run a couple back to back. You're going to go to sleep. They might wake you up in the middle of the night, like 3, 4 a.m. when the people in the bubble is racked out, when they should be awake. And you're going to run some more fades. You feel me? Once you run your fades, you cool. Everybody copacetic. You done already ran your fades. You're straight. But hopefully you land up in a tank that don't have any enemies, and the homies is just in there. Then the homies will come, grab your fish kit, blanket roll, whatever, bed, and they'll get you set up, blah, blah, blah. Or hopefully you have enough to where it balances out and you don't really have to run fades like that. But then, if you got enough, you got 3, 4 back fades, you straight. So, I mean, it goes deeper than that, and it's a lot, but yeah, so politics for each race are a little different. It's a lot similar for white, every other race besides black. Black politics are a lot different, and a lot of people will never understand. That's like pretty much the only race that's not united in jail/prison. But when you go to CDCR and people get convicted, to prison and they're sentenced to prison time and not county prison time, only then will you get transferred to state prison. So jail and prison are the same, but they're different. Are you locked up? Yes. Is it the same? No. When you go to prison, you go to prison. They'll send you to a reception prison and you'll stay there for however long. And then they'll determine your classification, your based on your charges, disciplinary history, whatever, and amount of years on your sentence. They'll send you to a facility and you'll either be level 1, 2, 3, or 4. Right now, levels 1 and 2 are 50-50 yards. They're half general population, half PC, whatever. It can go either way because I had so much PC that had more SNY, sensitive need yard inmates than they had peace or general population. So if you're level 1 and 2, they're basically saying you're a poo butt. You can be around PCs. So it depends on if you're black. It depends for races. It just depends. But for a good amount of time when I was back working in the jails, so some things could have changed. I don't know if they're more accepting, but if you're on one of these yards, if you're Hispanic, you're for sure getting packed out. So you were considered PC because you're programming with people that are PCs. Even though you're walking around, you don't know who was a PC or is a PC or who's GP. They just be like, oh, you're willing to be potentially around them. We're not with you no more. You're getting packed out. So we'll see dudes coming down from state and you'd have no idea. And they would go and they're like, yeah, I'm good. And then they'll land in the thing and they'll be, oh, where are you at? I was at RJ Donovan. RJ Donovan is a 50-50 yard. Like that's a 50-50 facility pack out. And you're like, damn, why'd homie get pieced up? He's like, I'm good. I'm GP, this and that. And never went PC. Well, they wasn't down with that. So for them to stay GP, they got to kind of pull a finesse. It's a weird situation, but that's how the prisons end up doing it because they were just kind of letting anybody go PC. If you would be like, oh, I don't want to politic no more. I want to go PC. Do you have any safety concerns? Nah, I just want to go PC. And they'll be, all right, here you go. And pretty much. I mean, it wasn't exactly like that, but for the most part, they was just sending whoever PCs. And they just had a hell of PCs. And they had so many PCs that PCs was creating PC gangs. And so they got some hard PC gangs out there that be putting in work. So when they land with us, we consider them like a separate like GP class. And they can only tier with themselves because we're not putting them in PC land to start recruit more people or start beating up and trying to politic on the other gang dropouts. So I know it's a lot and it's really confusing, but yeah. So then you have your level 3 and level 4 yards, and then your points. Once you get to a certain amount of points, you'll be on those levels. So they have level 4 yards, which is a lot of people I just hear in like rap songs. If you listen to rap sometimes, mainly in California. So you have 360 and you have 180. 360 is where they can see all around. 180 is flat. So it's usually highest of high security. So level 4 is already like high security yard, but level 4, 180 yard is like the highest yard. And then you have shoes. But yeah, shoe used to be a lot different. I'm not going to get into that, but yeah. So once you go to prison, if you go to prison, jail and prison, you're there. You have a set amount of time. Either your set amount of time is once you expire, you're never getting out, life without parole, or you have a certain amount of years to life, or you have a set amount of years, but you usually have an out date, or you don't have an out date at all. And you have, people get granted early parole all the time. People killing people. I've interviewed more people than I can count on my hands that have been to prison for murder and had life sentences that end up getting out. So people are getting out for killings, attempt murders, whatever, that had life sentences, whatever. They're getting out. So yeah, jail, you're fighting your case. Prison, you're convicted. Jail, fighting the case. Prison, convicted. But yeah, that's basically the justice system. they've been, the governor tried to close prisons out here in California during the pandemic and stuff like that. They closed a lot of facilities, and then they'll go back and tell everybody in society that there's a shortage of, there's an overpopulation of inmates. And well, the overpopulation is because you're closing facilities, and then the jails get overpopulated because you're not able or not willing to accept people that are convicted to prison to go up. But then they make it, for politics wise, try to say that we are over incarcerating people in the US, where actually we just have a lot of people in the US that are committing crimes. So either selling drugs, doing drugs, violating people, like physically killing, whatever. We have a lot of crime in the US. And so therefore people have to be held accountable. So my ideas on it: you do the crime, you do the time, you get a punishment. The politic idea of it, new age right now, currently, and hopefully it swings back, is let's just loosen the standards and then we'll have less people getting arrested. And then more people just end up getting violated, and there's less that law enforcement or whatever can do for it. And then it falls back and people are like, well, the police aren't doing anything, this and that. Well, it's because they arrested the person, but the law states that they can't, it's just a cite and release. So that person that stole all your stuff or did whatever, they just get a ticket with the date to show up in court. They're not going to go to jail because that's how they changed the law to. So a lot of stuff ties the hands of law enforcement and things like that. So there's a reason why they do certain things. There's a reason why they can't do certain things. But it's a lot of politics involved in all of it. And when you're not in it, you won't understand it. But you're only going to get fed what you read. Unless you experience it, you won't know. And yeah, so that's my job, to try to educate you all. If you have any questions, reach out to me on either my Instagram or in the comments. Yeah, but if you have any questions, let me know. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you want to hear any more perspectives on anything with jail, prison, etc., crime, politics, if you think there's an over incarceration, I'd love to hear why. And we can go back and forth, whatever. If I know you, maybe I'll bring you on the show and we can talk about it. But yeah, so let me know what you think. That's it for this show. I'll see you next week. I'm going to switch it up soon. I'm going to do a vlog. I know I have some people that want to know about the cars and stuff. I did some breakdowns. I'm a one-man show, and I kind of work on my cars at night after the kids go down. So I didn't really videotape a lot of my installs and stuff, but we'll go through that. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, oh well, it's my show, and I have to deal with that. I'll cry at night, and it is what it is. But thanks for watching. Until the next time, take care.